Hey, it's Michelle Sissom. I want to welcome you to Entrepreneurs Take Action. Today we're talking about the mysterious world of newsletters. Oh my goodness, we just had a conversation in one of my Facebook groups, The Profitable Coach, and we were talking about newsletters, how to use those newsletters, when to send those newsletters. There were so many questions, and so I thought this would be the perfect time to get out there and have a conversation specifically about tips on how to create a newsletter, how to create an effective newsletter, a newsletter that gets opened, and a newsletter that actually accomplishes something. So I wanted to talk to you a couple of things there. First, we're going to talk about the why. So why have a newsletter? Number one for me is really what I call TOMA. You've probably heard it, top of mind awareness. We want to keep our name, our business, our information in front of our audience. We work so diligently to build a community, to build an audience, and we want to share our information. And when we don't send out newsletters on a consistent basis, when we don't do much email marketing, people have a tendency to forget that they ever joined your list in the first place and kind of forget who you are. So I know that there's a weird feeling out there about don't do it too often, don't send out emails too often, don't send out newsletters too often. But I'm telling you, it is all because you want to build this top of mind awareness. When somebody says, I need to talk to a business coach or I need help building my business, I want them to think, oh my God, I need to talk to somebody at Decisive Minds, right? So number one for why is TOMA. Number two for why is to drive readers to your website so that they can take action on certain things that you have going on. Maybe see new products and services. Maybe there's going to be a webinar that you want them to know about. So your newsletter is used to get traffic, to build traffic to your website. And when people get to your website, they can see the different things that you have going on. Number three is to get people's attention to webinars, classes, other ways that you are providing information. Some of those are paid, some of those may be free. Your newsletter helps people to see what's going on. How do they get more great information from you, because you are the expert in your field, right? Okay, thought so. And number four, we want those newsletters to be a place, something that's so valuable that people want to share them with their friends. So it's a great way for you to get in front of people that you wouldn't normally have gotten in front of when you're putting out great newsletters and when people love them and they forward them to their friends and then their friend gets on your list too, right? So those are really the main reasons why we do newsletters. Now let's talk a little bit about how to create effective newsletters. Number one, just like all email marketing, the number one thing that really gets people to engage with your email marketing is the subject line, right? What is going on in your subject line? So very important. Be sure that your subject line doesn't just say newsletter version 10 number 4, something like that, right? There's no connection there. People could care less. They don't necessarily want to read newsletters. What they want is great information. They want help in fixing whatever their problems are. So you want to be sure that your subject line is very engaging and gets people to open that newsletter. Now, a lot of times people like to put the name of the person who's going to be receiving the newsletter in the subject line. I think that's great. I think you kind of mix it up. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. And because you don't want people to really see a pattern. You don't want people to know, oh yeah, it's the newsletter time. Here's that newsletter again. So extremely important. The second thing is to write a personal note about something that's going on in your business, something that's going on in your life. People are connected to you, connected to your business, but they crave personal engagement, right? It's the reason that reality TV shows are as popular as they are. People want to know about you. They want to see that there's exciting stuff going on in your life, your business. They want to see that there are trials and tribulations in your life and your business, and it's okay. right? Our opening of our newsletter is always some form of a personal note, and really it just kind of depends on what's going on. If I just been to an event, am I proud of one of my clients and something that they did, and I want to talk about that? Did my daughter just graduate from college, right? I'm going to put something in there that is relevant to what's going on right now, and I think that is how people get connected to you. So be sure that you're adding some personal touch to your newsletter. The third thing that is great to put in a newsletter that really gets people engaged and coming back is to have some information in there that is some form of a celebration about someone else, not your company, not you. We'll do celebrations about our clients. Did one of our clients accomplish something great? We'll put that in there. Did someone send in just a powerful testimonial about how something they read changed their life, or something that we did made a difference in their business? We'll put that in there. Yes, is it a testimonial? Is it about us ultimately? It is, but people want to see their names. People want to see their pictures in those emails, in those newsletters. I don't know if you know, but I spent 5 years as a Mary Kay sales director. And back then, there was no email marketing. This was back in the day when we physically mailed out a newsletter every week, printed it out and mailed it out. And so Mary Kay did some research on those newsletters, and what we found was that the first thing people did when they got the newsletter, because we would send it to all of our consultants, right? Past consultants, current consultants. And the first thing that they would do when they received that newsletter was open it up, scan every page looking for their own name. And so it was very important that we did things in there to recognize different people. It keeps them engaged, keeps them opening that newsletter, so that, because they never know when they're going to be the one in there. Okay? So I think that works great, and it makes for a very effective newsletter, a newsletter that really gets read. And then number 4 is to remember that your newsletter is also for training and teaching. So I want you to teach them something great. It could be that maybe you've written a great blog post. Usually this is how we do it. We will write a fabulous blog post. We'll put the first half, 2/3 of that blog post, maybe 1/3, depending on where there's a great point to cut. And then we'll say, click here to read more. And that will drive people to our website to finish reading the blog post. And what happens when they get to the website? They can see that there are, other ways for them to interact with us. There are products and services. They can buy my book. They can join a course. They can register for a webinar. So great information. You want to be sure that you are teaching them something in that newsletter. Now, I wanted to also talk to you about how often you should be doing newsletters. That is by far the biggest question I get from everyone. When they want to talk to me about newsletters, they really want to know how often, when, all of this good stuff. So I want to say, number 1, that I'm going to give you some advice, because I am all about giving you advice. I believe you should be doing it weekly. I also want to say that you should test whether that weekly is right for you. It should be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Now, here's the thing. You don't get to do it and then see if somebody sends you an email that says, you send me too many of these, right? That's not how we test. We test by watching how many are we sending out, how many are getting opened, what's our open rate, if we send too many out, are we having more people opt out than we have opting in? Those are real statistics that we test. We don't go by the fact that somebody complains. Okay, so I just want to warn you about that, because I know a lot of my clients will call and say, well, I got this email and somebody said I'm emailing too often. Just for that one person, the other 600 people that are opening and reading it are appreciating that you're sending it every week. So I want you to be a real business owner. I want you to look at your business from the numbers. I want you to determine if they are really reading that or not. What's happening from your newsletter? Are you seeing more traffic to your website on your newsletter day because people are going to read the blog posts that you're attaching? So personally, I believe you should be doing it weekly, but there are a couple of industries out there where a bi-weekly or a monthly are better. Now, for those of you who are not being consistent, shame on you. I want you to look at what do you need to do to get consistent. Do you need to hire someone to do your newsletter for you? Could you have a VA that spends, an hour a week to put your newsletter together? Absolutely. That's what I did. I'll be real honest. In the beginning, I was not consistent at all. There were months that nothing went out to my list. That is a terrible habit. Your list will forget you. And so then I hired a VA. The very first job I gave her was to make sure that my newsletter went out on a consistent basis. Okay, and she did. Since then, we've never missed a week. We have something go out every single week. So, all right, there you go. There's some advice on your newsletters. Be sure you get out there, get that done. There are tons of ways to do newsletters. Just start to test, right? Check your audience, see what they like, put in some great information, talk about them. Remember, it's not all about you. It isn't. It's about them and what they want to learn and what they want to hear. And how do you keep them engaged in the conversation with you? All right, this is Michelle Sissom saying be decisive, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.